Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. We are really trying to get this dialed in today, but we want to say hello. This is our first time ever doing Live It Out live stream, not being live, office. And outside the studio. That's right.
The studio.
Yeah. So this is crazy. So either way, you know how it works. We say welcome our friends, fans, and family from all over. Thanks for listening to Live It Out live stream with John and Jennifer. We are unapologetically lifting up the ways of Jesus, promoting grace, and striving to learn, think, and live like Jesus Christ. We believe in a triune God who loves us and calls us to live out the good news where we live, work, and play. You can't cancel us because that's what we are, and that's what we're not going to apologize for it. So you can try and cancel us, but it won't work. If you want to cancel us, don't waste your time. Just quit listening. That's really the best. That's really the best thing to do. But we've got some great guests with us today, and it's exciting because not only do we have guests, like we normally do, but we have them in studio.
Yay.
And in studio today is our family room because we moved it all the studio stuff down here so we could just have a little free space, but I just want you to know that's what we're doing, and so things will be a little different this week, but hang in there, we're gonna have a great time.
It's okay to mix it up
and one of the biggest mix-ups, Jennifer's going to tell you about what you need to do to connect with the show. However, don't try and send comments in today. We'll get them, but we'll get them late because we're out of town this week, and we're actually this week at the Christian Renewal Center, which we're going to be talking about today. We're actually speaking at a family camp there when this is being aired, but Jennifer, what do they need to do in order to stay connected?
Well, you guys know the role. Be sure and take a moment and hit that subscribe button if you are viewing this from YouTube, or click like or follow if you're viewing it from Facebook. And if you're like me and you want to be notified, because I tend to forget these things are happening, you can set up notifications too, so that way you're not going to miss a single thing. We always have lots of fun stuff to talk about, and it's so fun to have you involved when we're going live. And in fact, today I'm really going to miss you guys and all of your comments coming in. I feel kind of lonely, so I'm so glad we have our friends in-house to chat with today. That'll kind of fill the void a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, it will totally. Yeah, we're usually like hearing people comment and seeing them come in on the screen, but thanks for your patience today. And the reason this, again, I mentioned briefly that this is not live, is because we are this week speaking at Christian Renewal Center's family camp, and up at the Christian Renewal Center, there is no internet for good reasons. Yeah. And the internet that they do have there, it would be kind of like, that's what we'd be doing the entire time. So it's kind of slow. So instead of driving into town to do a live stream next week, we could focus on the camp and the people that are going to be at the camp, and then we could record ahead of time. So we thought, what better thing to do than to bring the directors of the camp in. So we'll introduce you in a few minutes to them, and we're going to be doing an interview with Tim and Julie, and it's just really going to be a great time. We do a little update, let you know what's going on with us. You guys know Shiloh Homestead. By the time this goes live, it will be live. It'll be online, and people will be knowing the applications are finished. They're ready to go. And those that want to be a part of this Christian fraternity for young men, 19 to 27-ish in age, here in Oregon City at the Garrick's home, which will soon be the Shiloh Homestead starting this September, you'll want to get those applications in. So just reach out to us, give us a DM, or reach out, whatever, phone number, anything, email, you've got them all, office@eternalimpact.org, as well as you can call the office, 503-655-4500, or you can just send us a message through Facebook, and we'll get it, and we'll get the information to you guys so that you know what's going on. And do it quick though, because we already have applications coming in. Yeah. It's only been 2 days, and which is great. We think it's wonderful. We hope that there's a flood of applicants, more than the 5 to 7 that can be here. But hey, please check that out. And just so you know, it hasn't been live on social media, at least, I don't know, by the time this airs, it might be, but we're doing a lot of work around the property, and yes, I was an idiot. Okay, so we'll just go live with that right now and just let you know, yes, I was an idiot. I'm not supposed to be doing ladders and all that kind of stuff after my accident a few years ago, but I did, and I was up with a chainsaw and the ladder this week, and 15 feet in the air, and I didn't have the chainsaw, strapped like I should. I didn't have I just wanted to quickly get up there before the crew was coming and get the trees trimmed. And my son got to see an example of what not to do when cutting a tree. And by God's grace, I came 15 feet down and I didn't break any ribs, but I was at the chiropractor this morning and he is taking care of me, and I did not break any bones.
That's a miracle.
It is. I bunged up my ankle, and he's got it all taped up, and my back and that. So if I seem kind of rigid more than normal, it's just because, yes, I'm a dork. All right, I'm a dork, and I know it.
Now we know what not to do.
Yeah, what not to do. So I did, and we've been talking about repentance. We're going to talk about it in our live show, which I guess will be last week now, but we're recording it tonight. But we're going to talk about it more tonight. But yes, it's true. If you hadn't heard, I am a dork. But we're getting it all ready for Shiloh Homestead, and that's the goal. So it was for a price. I did it for a cost. I was stupid for a reason. But don't try this at home. I really don't recommend it. So let's thank our sponsors, who are what, Jennifer?
Yeah, well, we want to thank Eternal Impact. Those of you who support Eternal Impact, you are such a blessing to us, and you are what make this possible for John and I to be able to go live, for us to have the vision for the retreat center. We just couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you for being a part of our team and for engaging with us. We pray for you, and we just really want to thank you for helping this happen.
Cool. Yeah. Amen. All right. So this part of the show, we do flashback. Flashback is when we look back to a previous show. So for today, we'd be looking back to the show we're recording tonight, so we can't do that. So I'm going to hold off that flashback. You're going to get what I was going to say right now, actually, a week before you're even listening to this. So it's going to be beautiful. It's kind of like a time machine. It's kind of Back to the Future. It's really phenomenal. Don't try this at home either. Very few people are able to do this. But you will be getting that flashback. You already got it. So you flashback twice. But all right. So plus we want to move on to our live our interview, because we've got our friends that are here and we want to be able to introduce them to you. And we've got a lot of questions for them. We want to glean from their experience in life. At how they are living out the gospel, where they live, work, and play. And they're in a unique situation of where they live and where they do predominantly most of their work and play. But I want Jennifer introduce our friends.
Oh, I'm so happy to. So we're going to be talking about the Christian Renewal Center, which is located near Silver Falls State Park in Silverton, Oregon. And it's been a project in the making since 1970. Pastor Alan Hansen and his wife, Eunice, had a dream to provide a place of spiritual refreshment for anyone thirsty for more of God. So about 17 years ago, that baton was passed on to their son and daughter-in-law, Tim and Julie, who are now the resident directors of CRC. It's become a place set apart for the renewing of God's people so that their lives might be show greater glory and honor to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Tim and Julie are now living the dream and loving God and serving his people through CRC's ministry of hospitality. They live on the CRC grounds and have 5 children: David, Grace, Josiah, Peter, and Johnny. Tim and Julie, thank you for joining our show today.
Yeah,
wow,
very fun.
Excited to be here.
Did I get that all right?
Man, you got an intro. How come they got such a huge honking intro, man?
Well, that's great.
There's 34 years of history to try to cover in one little intro there.
Well,
so.
I know, and and 5 kids.
5
I mean,
kids,
that's an adventure right there. So no, that's exciting.
So,
Well, we're going to get into tons of questions today, and we're going to get to know Tim and Julie, more about Christian Renewal Center. But I just want to remind our listeners and our viewers that if you're getting this tonight, this is not live because we're recording ahead of time. So if you're sending in messages and you think we're just jerks because we're not responding back, it's because we're not live tonight. I know. So
we're with Tim and Julie at the camp.
We are. We're at the camp with them at the Christian Renewal Center. So I just need to remind the listeners, viewers so that if you're putting messages in, we will get back to you. We will respond. We see every one of them. And you can also send us personal messages through Facebook and through email. So renewal, just that word jumps out at us because that is at the heart of kind of who we are at Eternal Impact as well, is we just know that this adventure of living out the ways of Jesus takes an ongoing refreshment and renewal. It's not just something that just happens, not like perpetual motion, right? Like in space, you just hit it and just go. We're always refreshed in the Lord. And it's like, no.
Because you live on the campus.
Yeah. And so the truth is like, renewal is really important in our spiritual formation, in our life. And it's one of those words that takes a huge amount of intentionality. Right? I mean, it just takes an intentionality. If you just say, oh, well, don't even think about it, not even a part of our spiritual formation, then it won't happen because it's just one of those disciplines, like most disciplines, but it just takes a clear intentionality and really even a theological framework and posture before God that says we need renewal. It's important for us, and it really is. We could go into more of that, and we will in this time. But I just want to let our listeners and viewers know that when they're listening to this, I know that some of you are wrestling through the idea of renew, and what that looks like in your own life. And so as we're interacting today, we'll do follow-up questions and answers. So if you have questions, do put them in the comments, put a Q on them, Q:, put them in the thread, and then we'll get to those because this is a subject matter that we'll be circling back with, as you guys know, because renewing is a spiritual discipline that's really important in our lives. So just so you guys know. So back to Tim and Julie. Tim, it sounds like you spent a good chunk of time hanging around the Christian Renewal Center. Sounds like a lot of fun. But tell us just briefly, what's it like? I mean, honestly, because most people, if they haven't been there, but I mean, even if you've been there, you don't live there. And you've lived there for a few years, like all of them.
Do tell.
Yeah. So just give us an overview, just a quick overview. What's it like?
Yeah, well, I was 12 years old when our family moved up from California. So, yeah, the majority of our adult life, we've been at CRC. Julie and I have been married 34 years, and we raised our kids there. So, it is really, I would have to say, I feel like I can honestly say, living the dream in so many ways. It's just fun to see people week after week, year after year, coming up to see God, to spend time, to get, filled up with the Holy Spirit in a fresh way, to get direction, to worship together. It's just, that's just like the big payoff is seeing people like, wow, the Lord really touched my heart this week. I just really needed this time. And I got what I was looking for. I got what I came for, to get closer to him again.
That's cool. Well, we've been able to experience that personally ourselves. And by the way, in the middle, you guys just saw Jennifer wrote me a note and said, John, the camera's not on them. That's right. So we're listening to Tim. We're listening to talking. And you're seeing us. You're seeing us. Hello, how are you? Tim's here. Are they phantom people? Are they really here? They are here. Ladies and gentlemen, there they are. See. So wave the camera over there. Just wave at them. See, they're real people. They're real people. So, hey, thanks for that. So, thanks, hon. I need those reminders. That's what's going on. That's the professional quality you're getting right here at the Live It Out live stream.
It takes a team, right?
It does. That's why we do this
It takes a large team, clearly larger than one that we have. But all right. Well, listen, I want to get a little perspective, and I'm kind of jumping into all the questions here, hon. But we'll iron it out here in a sec. But I just want to know, Julie, how did you and Tim meet?
Well, actually, we met at Christian Renewal Center.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And I'm from Washington. I was going to junior college, and people had told me about camps, and I'm like, I'm not interested. They told me about, well, I won't name them. But
no names.
Yeah, no names. So anyway, but I just wasn't interested. But one day in writing class, a friend of mine said, hey, have you ever worked at a camp? I've been at this camp, and it's awesome. And so they told me about Christian Renewal Center, and it was really like the Spirit of the Lord leapt within my heart. I was instantly excited, and I right away asked her if I could get the number, and I wrote them, and honestly, I didn't think that she would take me because I was a brand new Christian, but I had made so many mistakes in that short little life that, so when I came to camp, my friend said, hey, you ought to so she told me about CRC. I came. I was a teacher, and one of the girls there said, "Hey, you ought to meet Tim Hansen." And I'm like, no. I've made enough mistakes. I'm not dating anymore. But then I was playing chess one day with a friend, and my friend Maggie came and said, "Hey, Julie, Tim's here. He's here." So I look at the door and,
Were there actual
there he was.
angels coming
I
down
think
and
there
singing
was.
chorus?
It's love at first sight.
Oh, yeah, I liked him right away.
That's
Oh,
cool.
that's
How old were you? How old?
I was 20, and he was 28.
Oh.
So when I saw him, I thought, oh, he's a man.
Yeah, he's a man. That's good because when
a
I
good
still see
thing.
him, I still say he's a man. That's it. That's good. That's excellent. We're all on the same track. No, that is really cool. So that's fun, man. You guys,
Wow.
heritage rich, in that space, and that's fun. That's really fun. Okay, so Tim, did she get it right? I just want to, does that sound about from your
Yeah.
perspective?
version of
Yeah,
the
this
story.
Maggie
And were
was
the
actually
angels coming down? Were they more baritone-like?
No,
were they
I-
sopranos? Were they? No, I was kidding.
Yeah, it was a full chorus.
It was a full chorus. Okay, yes, very much like the welcoming of the Messiah, kind of that same. Yeah, I understand.
was the one.
And you were all fearful, right? Okay, all right. No, seriously, does that sound about right? I mean,
Yeah. Maggie was selling meat to Julie all summer,
awesome.
and then I finally came back from a YWAM outreach.
Wow.
And I met this girl that she had bow in her hair. She was young, too young for me.
Wow.
But
So
man, was she
I just
cute?
went right past him. He just
Yeah.
it took a couple years. Let me just say that.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
so, yeah.
You had to train him up in a way you should go. I understand. Jennifer had to do that for me quite a bit too. So,
I did. It
yeah.
took 4 for him. So.
Yeah. Don't forget your mic there. All right. Well, very fun. Okay. Well, clearly we know Christian Renewal Centers. We're getting to know it. There's matchmaking taking place at Christian Renewal, unintentional, I guess, and
Renewing
intentional. Okay, are
So-
there, without saying names, are there other marriages that have come
That have
from there?
come. Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
We could probably name.
A daughter.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
so,
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Your daughter came from one of the matchmakings and then she found someone else. Wow, that's huge.
And it was pretty cool because the man she married, her husband, had been baptized there when he was a teenager by Tim's father.
Oh, wow.
But he hadn't been there in years, and we reconnected, and wow, who would have guessed?
Yeah.
That is
He's on
cool.
our board of directors now.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's a
that's so
pastor,
cool.
So it's a neat connection.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question for
That's
you.
cool.
So obviously, it led to getting married.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, I mean, this is a unique lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so were you on board with the retreat camp life from the beginning?
I
or?
love. That was my favorite summer of all time. But coming from South Seattle and coming from kind of a background that I did where I wasn't raised a Christian, I really had a heart for evangelism. Mm-hmm. So like, hey, all these people coming to Christian Renewal Center, they're already saved, Yeah. And when we did, I thought maybe Tim would change his mind. We could become missionaries, evangelists, or something. But this was a life call. So, and I was so used to everything being like 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. But now it's like half an hour. But I just grew to love, raising our kids there was like the most ideal setting. I mean, they really had a childhood that was very unique and very special, I think.
Yeah.
So,
That is unique.
yeah,
for
so,
sure.
for me, I couldn't have picked a better place for our kids to grow up.
Oh, that's great.
That's pretty cool.
great.
So yeah, so that I got to say, right from the beginning, this place has been pretty special, and who knows what the future is gonna bring with others that are connected and a part of the Renewal Center, but. Clearly, before we're done here, I want us to make sure to let people know where Christian Renewal Center is and the details,
yes.
because we haven't talked a lot about that. And if you're in the Pacific Northwest, really anywhere in the United States, you could come and be a part of that. But man, if you're near, you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to connect with the facility as well as the staff. And I want to we're going to talk a little bit more about what Christian Renewal has to offer. So we're going to end with that today because I really want people to know how they can stay connected. But let's talk about some of the ebbs and flows of life, okay? Because there could be a misinterpretation that a listener or viewer might have out there. They're like, oh, well, when you're on Christian Renewal Center, it's this beautiful bubble where everything is pious and good and right and it's righteous, you know, and all the work and labor that you do, all blisters are just kind of a gift from the Lord, and you know, and all those things, you know what I mean? Because it's like sometimes we can almost operate in our own little bubble, right? And we forget, no, there's ebbs and flows in everyday life. So I want to talk about those just a little bit. You know, what are some of the ups and downs, you know, that there are in being so, we talked about the positives, huge positives, but what are some, Julie or Tim, either one of you, what are some of the challenges in this environment?
Well, anytime you live where you work, you're on call all the time, especially if you're the head of that ministry or organization. So, so that's a challenge, and I think that was tough for our family to balance family time versus ministry time.
Yeah.
It was really easy, I think, for me to run to the needs of a guest. So that was something. I think that's something I'm definitely doing better in. Now that the kids are all gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Isn't it great the things that we learn, how
would be
much
much
better our
better.
parenting is after they've already left and we go, oh man, why didn't I do that? You know? Yeah. So true. So true. Well, okay. So let me ask this and we follow up with that just a little bit. And Julie, you may, you know, have an answer to this as well, but you know, it is tough because, like, I remember even when we lived in parsonages, when we were pastoring. Parsonages, for those that may not know, are as a term for a home that's near the church, usually right on the property or whatever. And, you know, it's always that gift. Oh, you're going to get this great home and it's right by the church. Cool, that's great. Think of the money you save from driving and all that kind of stuff, except for no matter, whenever someone needed into the church, you know, an alarm code, a key, you know, where's the lawnmower, you know, whatever. It's like you are the person. And so there were sometimes, dare I say, we'd park our car away down from the road to church and then go back home so that no one would ever know we were there, because otherwise, oh my gosh, they are there all the time. So anyway, yeah, it's confession. We're talking about that in one of our spiritual disciplines. So, but I just want to know what, from your perspective, Julie, what are some of those things that are challenging? Tim talked about that, you know, always on, you know, you never have a chance to really be off. Anything else come to your mind?
Like the builder doesn't fix things in his house, you know, the people at the retreat center don't get a rest. You know? No, actually, we've been blessed because we know so many people from so many walks of life. Many people have offered us their homes actually for vacation and stuff. So we have stayed in some amazing places out at the coast. And even we just got back from Arizona. One of our board members offered a place in. You know, so we do get that, but it is hard, and I think you always have to remind yourself of all of the wonderful aspects you have. Like we've got the creek. I mean, when we've visited different places, we think, you know, we got one of the best places on earth, you know. So, and that we get to have people in our house and meet them. Our children have, they've had things that are tough, but they've also have had great privileges. And I think you have to always remember the privileges that you have to balance out when the other things might be harder, you know. So
Yeah, for sure.
if I answer that question.
No, that's good. That
great.
that kind of flows into the
Yeah.
whole idea of family.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about
Yeah.
how that affected the kids growing up. I mean, you're pretty far out there too.
I think living in a bubble was sometimes hard because it's, you know, we never wanted to offend anybody, and sometimes they took that as like laws and rules and standards that maybe they could never meet, which really wasn't our heart. We were just trying to look out for someone who may not see those movies as, you know, one person there's no TV in their house, or they all wear dresses, or, you know, so that could be kind of tough. I wish that I had been better at maybe explaining like, hey, you know, we're just giving, you know, be all things to all men, and, you know, within the giving grace.
Yeah.
So that
Grace,
they didn't
huge.
take it that these were all laws, you know. So that, I think that was the tough part.
Sure.
But the good part was, you know, to live out in the great outdoors and be surrounded by so many godly people that are committed to Christ, and to hear so many testimonies over the years, you know, all the summer camps they've been to, and, you know, all the speakers on special occasions, and people to mentor them and be great examples. So
Yeah. No, that's really good. And I think what you're saying there is important for all of us, our listeners and viewers, to be able to recognize as well, because what you guys are sharing is it is that bubble, right? That's there, understandably so, because geographically it's not really on a dead end, but I mean, it's probably 20 minutes from town, I think. Is that right, you guys?
Yeah, and the road is a dead end. There's nobody.
Yeah, it's true.
beyond us.
Yeah, it's right. It's out
It
by
is.
Silver Falls. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's all that. But you got to go in one direction, and to get into town, and it's 20 minutes just to get groceries, or anything like that. And obviously, you guys have deliveries and people bringing stuff out for large groups. But I'm just saying, when you're living in as a family, well, when you bring that into the average person, that's listening right now, it's the same kind of thing that we could do in our own church. Right? We can kind of get that way as well, where, we forget it's not that we have to, Julie, like you were saying, whatever decisions we're making about social issues or, movies and, those kind of things, we don't have to, but we get to.
Yeah, we get to.
We get to. We get to do certain things. We have this privilege, and some things are, permissible, but aren't beneficial. Yeah. And I don't get to choose all those for my neighbors or my friends at church or the guests that are coming in for our, Christian Renewal or, whatever. But for our own family, for our home, we do. We put up guardrails. We put up, those things. And we may look back and we got 3 adult kids and, and you say, oh man, could have done this different,
Oh,
whatever.
they wrestled with many of the same.
Oh
things.
yeah.
And we wrestled with it as well.
Yeah. But I think it's important that the listener hears out there that we don't want to just have a set of rules that you have to do. We're not, part of that is the refreshment of, no, we get to do or not do these things because that's the life that he's given us. This is the sub community, so to speak, our family. This is what he's given us to live and to operate in. And this is how the Lord's leading us in that. So, I think it's a really important message that you're sharing, and I appreciate you doing that, because those may not live on the dead end, right? And the bubble may not be there, or may not have the privilege of the dead end that you guys had. When we call it dead end, but I mean, really, it's a privilege too, because you get just such a gorgeous, beautiful place to live and to experience, and all those positive things too that offer a different set of challenges, where you have hundreds of people throughout the year. Many of them you don't know. Some of them are return people that you build relationships with. But when you're welcoming, that's a very unique ministry. And it's just like when we're welcoming people into our home, we're loving our neighbors, we're caring for them. That's what we do. And so we get a lot of questions on Livestream about parenting and, things like that. How do I do this with kids or whatever? Well, that's all part of it, and you guys really had that on a, telescope or a microscope, from your setting. But I just really appreciate the transparency and the honesty that, hey, there's ups and downs in that, but just like there is if we're not living in a Christian, because we have our own Christian Renewal space is our home, and that place where we're discipling our kids and loving our neighbors and moving forward. So anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I want to talk about, you guys as leaders, okay, we at Eternal Impact focus a lot on pastors and Christian leaders doing everything we can to give them refreshment, restoration. And we find it really common that most leaders and pastors have great sermons about Sabbath and don't know how to take one, or that, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like, man, are you doing Sabbath? Well, I just preached on it 3 months ago. I know, but I'm talking, have you done one? Have you had a Sabbath, like weekly, 24/6, remember? And, but I would think that even more challenge, you alluded to a little bit, gifts of people, Julie, giving you a place in Arizona, and that is such a gift. And by the way, for those that are listening out there, do not underestimate the power of your generosity, caring for leaders that are out there, giving them space, to be able to really get released from their place, from their bubble, so to speak, right, to where they can go in with their kids sometimes, and sometimes without their kids, but just to be able to get refreshed and restored and capture again and anew the vision of their first love. So I want to ask you guys, because it is really tough when you are day in and day out, even more tough than like the pastor where the parsonage situation, I mean, you are there all the time. What do you guys do? And maybe you could each answer this. What do you do for your own renewal? It's easy to speak into the lives of others and offer renewal for them. But what do you guys do? What are some disciplines or practices and that you do for renewal, spiritual renewal in your own life?
Go ahead. Oh, yeah. All right, I'll go ahead.
They're looking at each other.
Rock, paper,
Okay,
scissors.
who goes first? It's like, I ask them a tough one now. So they're like, okay, who's going to answer that one? All right. Let's make sure we get our story straight here on this one.
I can say.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that was a practical thing is when we decided not to, answer the phone 24/7. I mean, that was a huge, huge thing. We'd answer it during dinner, we answer it during breakfast, we'd answer it at 9 o'clock at night. But for renewal, I used to get up at 5 o'clock. In fact, we still do. We get up like 5 or 5:30 every morning and spend like an hour and a half with the Lord. And and Sundays, we've always said, like, this is not a time to go shopping. This is not a time to, do stuff. This is a break from all work. And that's always pretty much been something that has been like priority. There's this saying about a Bible that's falling apart is usually belongs to somebody who isn't. I forget who says that, but it's a famous quote from somebody. But
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of very refreshing.
So in the Bible every day, that's my lifeline. If I'm not in there on a day or two, I'm missing it. I'm feeling like I'm losing my connection to the Spirit of God, to what He's speaking, to the life of the Spirit. And so that's a discipline to be in there all the time. But it's also a huge payout, huge payback. So, and of course, prayer goes with that. One of the things I love about living where we do is that you get to go on walks and pray out loud and worship out loud as you want, and nobody's going to be disturbed.
Yeah.
And sometimes I really need to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of guests that are coming as speakers to all of the different retreats and family camps and things. Do you sit in and listen on those? Do you benefit from all of that as well? Or does that just feel like work?
No, we've done that on a lot of occasions. We love it when they invite us, and it's so fun too when our guests like even bring some of their retreat into the dining hall. Like this last year, we had an African American group that just broke out and danced right there in the main lodge, and it was like, this is so much fun. They were raising their hands, and this is awesome. Or
That's fun.
I don't know. I've been to many women's retreats. In fact, that's how I've gotten a lot of my women retreat speakers, is by attending some church group that has come and invited me to come hear them speak.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
That's cool. So you get a lot of, different cultures as well, which is great. And subcultures, within the body of
so
Christ. And that's really cool. Yeah, that's a privilege.
Yeah.
So that is refreshing. Let me ask this. What about off campus? You guys talked a little bit about vacation or getting away. Have you guys, and again, you could be like John and Jennifer, where we have to be more confessional about this, that we screwed up more than we, were more defeats than victories. But even last year, we did the working sabbatical. What is that? I mean, I invented the whole thing, and it's like, why didn't you just take a sabbatical, you moron? And you did all this work and stuff. So I got to take another sabbatical to get, it's like, wow. But it was a start, and it was beautiful, and it was a great gift for us. But talk to us about that. Let's just be honest. Let's look into the eyes of the people and just say, what do we need when we're pouring in? And I think we're speaking specifically to those that are, either full-time or on a level are pouring into someone. It doesn't have to be in a pastoral situation. It could be as a director of a retreat space. It could be Young Life. It could be Campus Crusade. It could be a missionary. It could be someone that's bivocational and they're a plumber by day, but they're also just pouring in, running a missional community and all that. But man, if we spend all of our energy out and aren't opening up, we talked about some things daily, and we'll reiterate those in a minute, but what about some of those seasons where we got to say, okay, unplugging from all the operations and all the stuff, and I got to get what we call off campus. Yeah. Even if it's just our home, off campus, we got to get away because too many people know where you live. Yeah. So it's like, so talk to us, either one of you, just share with us about that.
Yeah, we need that personally, but you're right, John. Everybody needs that time to regularly, right? So I was thinking about, the biblical fasts, right? All these times where you went up to Jerusalem and you took, some days to be with the people of God. And so that's like kind of what happens at a lot of our group retreats are like that. But then there's also this aspect of like Jesus went by himself, got up early in the morning, Mark 1, and just went and prayed all by himself. We need that.
Yeah, and even some of the disciples at that point, sorry, Julie, some of the disciples even at that point were clearly not used to that rhythm fully yet either, because they're like, where's Jesus? Okay, where is he? What's
off
he
in the woods
doing?
again?
It's like, so, I mean, even they weren't quite accustomed to what he was trying to, teach them. And it is interesting from the very, he's baptized, Holy Spirit comes, and he hits the desert. It's the deserts. And so anyway, Julie, what were you going to say about that?
I was just going to say about 8 years ago, I was getting pretty burned out, and I was noticing that all these pastors were coming up on sabbatical, and I thought, gosh, sabbatical sounds so nice. And so I started asking them, like, how do you go about that? How come you get a sabbatical, and how long is it, and what do you do? And I was talking with Tim one day, and I said, I think we should ask our board about a sabbatical, because so often we want people to look out for us, but sometimes we just have to look out for ourselves and just say, we really need this. What do you guys think if we wrote up a policy for us to have a sabbatical every 7 years? And so ours is coming up next year, but
great.
And we thought, how are we going to ever afford a sabbatical? We had one for 3 months, but God provides in amazing ways. He just opened the doors, and we wound up going to a Holy Spirit conference in Wisconsin that was paid for. We wound up going to Israel that we found an Airbnb for $14 a night.
Wow.
We were there for 10 days.
I'll be taking that number.
No,
Thank
yeah,
you when
yeah,
we're done here.
Do share.
And we had another friend who knew someone in Israel that let us stay with them for 3 nights. And then we also went to Hawaii, and the board did pay for our flight there. And then good friends of ours let us stay with a mutual organization, Youth and Mission.
YWAM, yeah.
Great.
YWAM.
Oh,
So,
That's
I mean,
great.
God can open doors. He can make a way. Sometimes we think there's no way we can do this. Who will cover us while we're gone? But then God just raised up this guy, this manager that worked for the state, over 100 people. But he was a Christian man, and God was leading him, and he came and did a great job. His name was Mark, and
That's great.
stayed there for 3 months. And so God can make a way. We always think there's too many obstacles, but you just have to make time to
That's
get away.
cool. Oh, thank you for that. That's good.
I was, as you were talking, both of you mentioning people coming up for those private retreats and just time to get away. And before the show, we were kind of sharing how special that is, and the fact that both John and I have gone to take advantage of being able to just go up spontaneously, even sometimes, and spend the day or spend a night or two. And the last time we were up there, we took a couple of days, and that's when the Lord spoke to us about our next steps. And so it's very special and unique for your for Christian Renewal Center to be able to not only go as a group, but to have the privilege of going just quietly as one person to get away with God.
Yeah, I think that, people come up there because for lots of different reasons. I mean, they come up there maybe to get right with Jesus, maybe to get right with somebody else. There's been a tragedy in their family. But also, to know what God's will is for their life. I mean, people come up there all the time to seek God, to say, God, what's next? And there's been lots of ministries that have actually been birthed out of their time there at CRC. Yeah. So it's so fun to be a part of that. It's like, wow, you kind of feel like, well, maybe a little tiny part of that,
Yeah, you definitely.
Yeah, so that is exciting. But people come up there too at just very strategic times in their lives, and it's and we do that all on a donation basis because we want people, pastors to become and pray, but there's seasons in your life where you're just walking through things, and maybe a death, maybe a divorce, maybe your children are going off, or maybe you're, we've had women that are come up and plan their homeschooling thing, once a year, or coming of age, they bring their children up to have that talk,
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Yeah.
Variety of reasons.
Well, that's super fun to hear that, and we're gonna talk a little bit as we wrap up our time about Christian Renewal Center and talk about how we can connect with that. But I want to reiterate what you guys just shared. I mean, I don't want to miss it. We talked about some basic rhythm things. One of them was the Word. Just spending time carving out daily, whatever that it means for you. I mean, we need to grow in our formation, whether that's an hour, whether that's 5 minutes, whatever that is. I don't want you, the listeners or viewers to get, legalistic about this, but just the idea of intentionality of saying, I need the Word of God. And you guys see that reflected in your life. You talked about something that I think is really important and applicable to everyone, and that is turn off your phone. I mean, it's okay not to answer your phone. It's unbelievable. I'm in meetings, and people, hey, hold on just a sec. What are you talking about? We're in a meeting. My phone's off. You don't need to stop if, unless it's an emergency, someone bleeding, it's like whatever. But it's like we've become so, especially on mobile devices now, just there. But whether it's an answering machine, whether it's a voicemail, whether it's texting, whether it's, instant messaging through Facebook or whatever, it is okay. And I really appreciate the decision you guys made to, hey, we decided to not answer our phone. That's a
huge step.
That's a step of renewal, right? You see what I'm saying? I mean, really, and there's a lot of people that we can't get to some of these things like Bible. We can't get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and to be able to take time just to listen to the Lord and speak. We can't carve out a Sabbath, whatever day of the week that is. For most of us, it's Sunday. But I mean, to carve that out, or if you're in ministry. And, because sometimes the church, we talked about this other shows, we're terrible at fostering the Sabbath in people. Matter of fact, we make it the busiest day we can for everyone that they got to make sure they got to volunteer for this and they got to do this. I mean, they got to do so much. It's like, okay, now go home and eat and be back at 6. It's like, praise God, it's like, I mean, really. And it's like, it's not Sabbath, it's like, it's a Sunday where there's lots of worship and praise and teaching and learning. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to reflect for a moment on what we're hearing you say, that there are some of those disciplines are there. And sometimes it's just saying no to the phone or the gadgets or the internet or whatever. Sometimes it's media. Sometimes it's just walking with no Bible, just whatever you've hidden in your heart. And I'm finding that, and this is, confession that others have heard, but I share with you guys, is like sometimes when I'm undergoing some strong meditation and spiritual contemplation on specific things, I'm finding in prayer how often I just go to God with my list of stuff that it's like, I'm ready for him to bless. You know what I mean? I want him to take care of and all these needs and all this stuff. And I find that I don't listen near as much. I take this discipline that I'm, work with people and interpersonal relationships to listen better, more, and I don't carry that over to God. And sometimes carving out a space for me, we live where I'm looking back to what I call our outdoor cathedral, in our backyard right now. And some of us have those places. Sometimes it's a prayer closet. Sometimes it's just walking in the neighborhood, sometimes wherever it is. But I just want you to know, as you guys were talking, I'm hearing renewal come out in your story that's not part of the program, right? It's not part of the Christian Renewal Center. It's not part of those things, but it's just a reminder that sometimes, as I learned my quote of 2015, I think it was, and I don't remember who said it now, but now I say it. No is a complete sentence. I like that, because it's like, sometimes we just have to say no to things so that we can say yes to a posture in our life and a discipline that we know is nurturing us and bringing us our soul the renewal that we need. So thank you for modeling that, not just on those times where we need to do it, we need to get away. We need to be, and you guys need to get away, right? You need to be away from the zone in order to be able to hear that. But some, like Jennifer and I have, need to get away by going to Christian Renewal Center. We need to go. And as Jennifer alluded to, we've been there, we've experienced it on multiple, space and situations, from personal retreats to groups. I know, Jennifer, you were at a women's retreat there, and we're very privileged that even as this is being broadcast, we're probably speaking to a group of families that are there at Christian Renewal Center because we're actually going to be one of the teachers for next week, and that's a real privilege to partner with you guys in that journey. But there's those aspects that just are birthed out in our life, and I really appreciate that. They're very applicable. But for those that need to get away, and they need a Christian Renewal Center, they might be with a church, they might be with a ministry organization. Tell us briefly, and either one, maybe Tim, let me just ask you, what does it look like in a year? Is it like 50%, or how much of the calendar is used by outside groups versus CRC organized programming, like we're doing this week at the camp?
We do about one retreat, average of one retreat a month. Okay. That's a CRC sponsored retreat. So the rest of the calendar is given over to guest groups and personal retreats.
Cool. So that's huge. So people, think about that as you're listening to this. I'm going to put up in just a minute the website for Christian Renewal Center, and you're going to want to make note of it. We'll also put it in the show notes, so I'll have Sharaya get that in there. But it is really important for you to identify, okay, what are some of these tools that I can have that I can use? Christian Renewal Center is one of them. So you see the website up there right now on the screen, and I want you to make note of it, christianrenewalcenter.org, christianrenewalcenter.org. And so please jot that down or look in the show notes. Give them a call, send them an email. Don't expect them to answer the phone first time. Okay, I'm serious. And I'm serious. I respect that. I really do. I respect it. It's better just to send an email. They're not sitting around on their phone or their computer waiting. Someone's going to send me an email. But I want you to take note of that at christianrenewalcenter.org. All right. And you need to reach out, and someone from the team, it may not be Tim or Julie. They have a team of beautiful people that are working and serving there. And the ministry of Christian Renewal Center is not dependent on one person. It's not really dependent on Tim and Julie. It's a ministry that God has birthed through the lives of people, and they have been privileged to be a part of it in a very deep way over these years, as you've heard the story, and it's been very fun. But we too have been touched by it, and many other people have been touched by it. Even I remember when we went, honey, we've went over the last 20 years, we've been there several times, 20 plus. And I remember we brought home the song with us. They do a song that they sing, and I don't know who wrote it again. Who wrote
Dorothy Wagner.
Dorothy did. Okay, so Dorothy wrote the song, and it's sung at most meals. I don't know if most or all.
Those of you who have had a meal with us have probably heard it.
Yes,
sung in this house.
Yeah, we always kind of tested out before my girls were married. The boyfriends, if we'd sing that song for a meal, and they'd like be going, okay, these guys are whacked out. What is going on? They're singing for a meal. But we did that, and I won't sing it for you now. But it's a great. They sang the prayer, and we sing it during a meal, and we do it often within our home. But see, that's just one example. It's just a song, but it's carried on. And so what's happened at Christian Renewal Center is, again, not dependent on a person or people. It's dependent on a God who deeply loves us, who deeply cares for us. And as we say around Eternal Impact, it's his will, it's his bill, right? It's, he paid the price for us spiritually, but he also cares for us, just as Julie was saying, he cares for us for providing things, whether it's a home or a ministry in Hawaii or anything. I mean, he's the caretaker, he's the provider. And so we just thank the Lord for what he's done at Christian Renewal Center. We thank the Lord that over, it seems like about 75 to 85% of the time in the year is committed to the listener and the viewer today, that they can bring their church or they can come as an individual. And us at Eternal Impact, John and Jennifer, we want to encourage you as we wrap up our show today to really be thinking about how you can enter into this experience of renewing the soul. And we're going to be talking through the Live It Out live stream about lots of different ways in which we do that, and we're all very practical. But today, a great way for you to do that is make note of Christian Renewal Center and pass it on to your men's group, your women's group, or just maybe it's even a group like I've had, just morning groups that just meet. It could be 5 people. It could be 50. Actually, how many could it be? How many can they?
We can hold about 100 at a time.
100 at a time. I know there's another ministry we support, Samaritan's Ministry. I think they're coming in the next couple of months. They're doing something there.
Their family camp.
Their family camp. So, I mean, there's lots of different sizes and groups, and they can also facilitate, and it brings me joy to be an advertiser for both, Christian Renewal Center and others. You guys know we highlight lots of different ministries, and that's part of what we want to do, because by us being a blessing to them, they are being a blessing to so many others. And again, it's not dependent on Tim and Julie. It's not dependent on one or two people. It is dependent on God breathing life through those people and through those that are coming to be renewed. And so we just believe that in the next months ahead, that there's going to be others that are listening today that need that time away of renewal. And you will find it. You will find it there at Christian Renewal Center. You don't need to jump into a big program, or you'll find renewal. The Spirit of God will speak to you if you carve it out, say no to those things that are making a lot of noise in your life, and opening yourself up to hear what the Spirit of God wants to say. Hey, Tim and Julie, I know that he's been doing that in your lives too. We've had a great time just talking and being with you guys, and this has been great. And we've only had interaction little by little with you guys over the years, but what a gift to have you in our home, in our AKA family room studio right now as we did this. And thanks for being our first guests that we didn't go live, that we recorded ahead. And it's all your fault, because you invited us to come share at Christian Renewal Center. So anyway, hey, thank you guys very much for being a part of this show. It is just a gift.
It's
just
been
a gift.
fun.
So fun. Our pleasure.
Well, thank you. Thanks, you guys. Well, we're going to be wrapping up our show for today. We're at our time limit, but I just want to remind you, we will be back next Thursday. And since you're getting this when we're at the camp, live, we will be live the following Thursday. Yep. So please stick with us, and we just love that. And we look forward to being with you in the upcoming shows. So it's going to be great. We usually do our dad jokes right at the end. Should we give them some dad jokes?
I think we should squeeze it in.
Yeah, we should give some dad.
We got time.
We got time. We're right on time. Even though we're not live, this is important. So this is the
Send
first
them
time.
off with a laugh.
Yeah, and we're gonna leave microphones on for Tim and Julie, because I expect some laughter to come through. We don't want to have to use the canned laughter. All right. So anyway, okay. Well, all right. So dad joke. Okay.
Dad joke.
Hey, honey.
Yeah.
What do you call a bear with no teeth?
I don't know.
I don't know. Tell us.
I don't know. What do you call it?
A gummy bear. Nice. Come on, that's good. That's a good one.
We'll have to remember that.
That's
there
good.
you go.
Okay, mom
Okay.
joke. What do you
Okay,
got?
mom joke. So why can't basketball players go on vacation?
I know the answer to this.
I don't know why.
I'm stumped.
Well, they're not allowed to travel.
Good.
All right, for those sports fans out there, for those that don't know basketball, you're going, what
Hey,
are
I
you
had
talking
that one
about?
for the sports thing last week.
Oh, you did?
I did. We
Okay.
didn't get
No,
to
2
do it.
weeks ago, hon, because
Oh,
we're
2
recording
weeks
this. Yeah,
ago,
2 weeks
yeah.
ago. All right. Well, okay, that was fun. All right. No more laughter. We can't take it. All right. Well, listen, we love you guys. Thank you so much. And Jennifer, take us out.
We do want to thank you for being a part with us tonight. And until next time, friends, we genuinely pray that the joy of life and the gift of His grace will be tangible in and through you as you live it out. Have a good week.
Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.